Tattoo artists, what is the most effed up thing you've tattooed?
Asked my first tattoo artist this question. Super professional guy who has gotten awards for his work. But he said he did some dodgy tattoos in order to get his reputation started. One of those was a girl who was an aspiring P-star. He tattooed her butthole to be a more appealing, pink color.
Did she have to not have a bowel movement for a week to let it heal properly and not get discolored?
Guy wanted the thumbs up emoji on his taint. Apparently he wanted everyone down there to know he appreciates a job well done. I passed him off to a male colleague, who did not stop giggling the entire half-an-hour session. But as most artists on here have said, we get ridiculous requests all the time, but they either don't show up, or we have to ask them to leave.
I feel like perspective would be important with a thumbs-up taint tattoo. What if you were coming at it from behind and you got a thumbs down? That would ruin my day.
My friend asked this when he got his first tattoo. The tattoo artist said he had a totally sober girl come in and asked for the Kumengo logo tattooed right above her ass. The artist went through and ensured she understood everything the tattoo implied and that it was permanent. She still got it.
My ex-roommate banged a lot of interesting women. One was an air traffic controller at a small airport. She had a tramp stamp that said cleared for landing.
I met a guy once who had a phrase in a foreign language on his arm. I asked him what it said and he replied, "Buy me a drink and I'll tell you." So I bought him a drink and asked again. It turns out it actually said, "Buy me a drink and I'll tell you." It apparently got him a lot of free drinks over the years.
This reminds me of something that used to be above the bar in one of our local pubs many years ago. IYATBSWTMTYMBTAD. Intrigued, I of course asked what it meant. If you ask the bar staff what this means, then you must buy them a drink. A drink well earned, I felt.
I've seen some weird, effed up tattoos via work, hospital. All of this stuff is years ago, and I couldn't even place a face with any of these people. Also scattered about the USA as I did a fair amount of travel work. Saw a guy with a genie coming out of his butthole up to the small of his back. Peeking out over the seat of his pants, I imagine. Saw another guy, sweet-looking grandfatherly type. Had what looked like a home-done prison tattoo on his penis that said "suck it." Saw a woman with the Rolling Stones lips tongue thing inside of her armpit. Must have hurt like hell. Saw a guy with an 8-ball on his DK head. He said it was a thing from his days in the Marines. Apparently there's a tattoo place near Camp Lejeune that will give you free tattoos for life if you get an 8-ball on your DK head. This guy definitely cashed in on that. Tons of great work.
Get this weird tattoo and we'll give you whatever you want for life, is an interesting business model, LMAO.
My tattoo guy tells a story of a woman who wanted "sweet pea" tattooed on her neck but insisted that it is spelled "sweat pea." He declined.
Had a guy get a tattoo of his wife fingering her own ass, while she sat and watched me tattoo it on him. Interesting experience trying to get the shading on her labia just right while she was peering over my shoulder.
Coulda gone meta and tattooed her around his butthole to make his butthole her butthole.
Nothing super weird, and usually things I didn't feel comfortable putting on people, I would turn away. But I had a coworker who would scoop them up and do the tattoo for them. One was a girl who had just turned 18. She wanted a chain around her waist with a lock hanging on it just above her vag and the words "property of Dave," or whatever the F her boyfriend's name was. First off, she was 18, so I figured the relationship probably wasn't going to last, so I wouldn't do it for that reason. Then come to find out, her boyfriend had just been sentenced to life in prison for murder. The girl was making a terrible emotional mistake. I refused, but my coworker did do the tattoo.
Your coworker sucked.
Yeah, unfortunately she was my boss. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of how big of a piece of poo she is. I stopped tattooing after she tried to sabotage my career for a while. She also happens to be my mother-in-law. We don't talk to her much anymore.
8-ball on a guy's testicle.
Did you have to blackwork the whole testicle so it looks like an 8-ball, or just an 8-ball on it?
Blackworked it and left a hole and tattooed 8 in the left out space.
I just started tattooing, so I was taking any kind of walk-in I could get. This guy would come in every few weeks and get his girlfriend's name tattooed on him. The same name, all different ways, in a diamond, attached to an infinity symbol, with a ladybug. One day he came in with her and I was surprised because I never seen her and always wanted to know who this muse of pooty name tattoos was. She seemed pissed off and unapproachable. The guy was in high spirits though. I skipped the small talk with her, did the tattoo, let them leave. He came in a few weeks later, alone. I finally asked him, why all the name tattoos? He told me he would tattoo her name on himself every time he cheated on her and she found out. He then asked me if I would like to go to dinner after his tattoo. That was our last interaction.
Wow. Odd that she stayed beyond the first two.
I had a gentleman come in when I'd only been tattooing for about 3 years. I was in the middle of a tattoo and somewhat, understandably, distracted. The fella pulls out his knob and shows me a poorly done star on the head. He wants it fixed, and wants me to add another star and a crescent moon added. If you're asking yourself, why? You're not alone. He told his wife he'd give her the moon and stars. He made an appointment for the following day, a few hours after we'd opened. I remember feeling like I was waiting for my execution. Then I came to the realization that it was his DK about to get stabbed, not mine, and I got over it. When he showed up, I gave him a set of gloves and told him he was gonna be helping stretch the skin. He was a good sport about it and all went well and fine. Till he told me they were swingers and invited me over to their home to drink Crown and bang his wife. I politely declined, which is probably why she got the only tip out of the deal. Almost 2 decades ago and I still remember it vividly.
He told his wife he'd give her the moon and stars. Should have just given chocos instead lol.
A guy the first worked with had a failed pregnancy. Stillborn. So he was mourning. I have very high quality work on my arms that is very visible. So he asks me who and how much. I tried explaining that with portrait work, you get what you pay for. He calls, gets a price and then confronts me on the number like we were in cahoots. I reminded him that you don't cheap on portrait work. And he told me he knows a guy who knows a guy. One last time I said don't, but he fully believed I was in on scamming him. He goes to guy of the guy and when he returns I ask if I can see how it turned out. He pulls up his shirt and starts to cry. He has what anyone can see is the worst tattoo of his dead baby on his chest. Just crying, he said, I just wanted to remember him. Just tragic. TLDR. Don't cheap out on dead baby portraits.
I honestly don't know why someone would want a portrait of their dead kid. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for memorializing something like that, but portraits are so incredibly difficult and it's so easy for one teeny tiny detail done slightly off to throw the whole image. Why not get a date, or their name or something?
My ex has a tattoo of a gravy boat sucking itself off.
Now that's an image I didn't think I'd ever read or have to picture.
This young man wanted a tattoo on his back. It said something like, Lisa, please forgive me. I asked him if this was some last-ditch effort to get this girl back. He said yes, and I told him this is a really bad idea, you shouldn't do this. He wanted the tattoo anyway, so he got it. If it worked out with him and the girl, she will always remember this terrible thing he did that was so bad he had to go get a tattoo to try and prove how wrong he was. Or if it didn't work out with them, whoever he dated afterwards would ask him what terrible thing he did that was so bad he had to go get a tattoo to try fix things with his ex. It seemed like a no-win scenario with that tattoo. My advice is, if your tattoo artist is telling you that something isn't a good idea to get, just take a moment and consider why.
My local shop has pictures of people with dumb tattoo ideas. The owner has them hold up the design they want, and if he says it's a bad idea they take a picture of them holding it up and it goes on the wall of shame. Couple guys have definitely gotten a tattoo just so they can get their face on the wall, haha.
Sometimes that's the fun of getting a tattoo. Just something stupid or for a laugh. I don't mind those type of tattoos. Especially when I get to do them, as long as they aren't racist or something hateful. This one time I tattooed Taco Bell on the inside of a girl's lip. Her friend came in with her and she got Del Taco on the inside of her lip. It was great because I love Taco Bell, and my friend who did the other tattoo loves Del Taco. It was one of the best nights tattooing I can remember. Everyone was having a great time.
I knew a guy that got rabbit prints on his ass cheek leading to his butthole. Want to see my new rabbit tattoo? Or man, it must have jumped in his hole.
That's an astonishing level of commitment to a joke.
The tattoo was supposed to say, Georgia-born peach, Alabama-bred a button. Instead it says, Alabama breed. The girl was proudly showing me her tat. I read it and asked, what's it say? She looked at me dumb and reads it off. I said, I thought bread had only one E. I think your tat says breed. She laughs and says, no. The artist had drawn the design, and when I looked at it, the artist had written bread, like a loaf of bread. I'm so glad I caught that. Can you imagine if I had bread on my arm? Ha ha ha. IDK girl, that might actually be better than breed. At least bread and bread are pronounced the same. Woman shrugging medium skin tone, woman shrugging medium skin tone.
Obligatory, not a tattooer. I worked at a tattoo magazine in the later 90s, early when artists still mailed photos of their work in. My favorite is the Pillsbury Doughboy banging Little Debbie, who is face down on a Hostess cupcake. I still have the photo.
OMG, is this it? Obviously NSFW. NSFW, link.
Up here, this is it. I have the original in my cupboard in my kitchen. I don't want my sweet landlady to ever see it.
My friend's dad had a tattoo that covered his entire forearm of two pigs going at it doggy style, piggy style, and it said, making bacon, above it. He was made to cover it up every time we visited, but I saw it once and it's quite graphic.
Imagine dropping your kids off for a sleepover and the dad answers the door with this on his arm. Timmy, time to go home.
Been tattooing nearly 20 years and honestly most everything has been pretty tame. I've had a few very weird quote requests, but they never actually follow up on scheduling, or I just outright decline the piece. The weirdest tattoo I think I've ever actually done was a portrait of a stillborn baby. I totally get the sentiment, and I've done countless memorials for stillborn babies, so that in and of itself is not weird, but the photo I was working from in this case was not a nice one. You know how they put little hats and clothes on a stillborn baby to take a photo for the parents? They'd done that here as well, but I think the baby had butterfly syndrome or something as the poor thing's skin was peeling away. I asked as gently as I could if he wanted the photo cleaned up for the tattoo. I don't have to tattoo all those wounds, you know? But he wanted it just as is. I respect that. People heal trauma in many ways. I did the tattoo as requested. He loved it. I did not take a photo for my portfolio. And since I know you'll ask, a couple of strange quote requests. These people did not get the tattoo, to be clear, just asked for a price. A photo of herself as a little girl, but wanted me to add blood all over her and dripping from her. Husband and wife wanted to come in together, and have me tattoo a photo of themselves engaged in BDSM. I assume they wanted a threesome afterwards too, it was heavily implied in the email. Human trafficking tattoos, usually an older man trying to schedule for his much younger girlfriend, to get a random name or word done near the pubic area. A couple requests for sclera tattoos, recoloring the whites of the eyes, Google if you dare.
I used to work for an anti-human trafficking non-profit, and traffickers tattooing their victims is super common. It can be their name, a dollar sign, a money bag, or even a barcode. If you see something like that happen, you can call the National Human Trafficking Hotline, link. Apologize for the formatting, on my phone.
Well, I know someone who asked for a 90-year-old naked man tattooed on his ass.
Hey, I want a 90-year-old naked man on my ass. Sure, what color do you want the tattoo? What tattoo?
I worked with a guy who had a rooster hanging from a noose on his shin. He said it means his cock hangs below his knee.
Nothing like a tattoo, that's a bad joke. It's like the girl I knew who had a pair of cherries on her inner thigh that said, "Here's mine. Where's yours?" under it.
Not a tattoo artist, but I asked the same question of the artist who did my half sleeve, Vegas of brass monkey tattoos. He told me the most effed up tattoo he's seen was a man's tattoo of himself jerking off to a child version of himself tied to a chair.
That's so effed up.
Right? If this helps any, I asked him what the dumbest tattoo he ever did was, and he told me. One time a guy walks in wanting some work done, but he told me he didn't have money to do it. So I told him that, as long as I got to choose what I put on him and where, I'd do it for free. The guy agrees, so I put 2 sunny side-up eggs for eyes and a strip of bacon for a smile on his neck. If I'm being fully honest here, I'd love that freaking tattoo on me. Not necessarily on my neck, but that poo is hysterical to me.
I was an apprentice in a studio that seemed to attract the weirdest people ever. Dude comes in carrying a baby, couldn't have been more than 9 months old, and demands we tattoo his full name on the child. Obviously we said no, and he went on a huge, emotional rant about how she's trying to say that child's not mine, I want to make sure she never forgets whose he is. We had to threaten him with police to get him to leave, because he wasn't listening when we told him no. We did call the guardie over it, his name was very common so they couldn't do much. The worst that actually got tattooed was literally Hitler with cat eyes, the SS logo on a banner above it, and the words, "Your AF ****** T. That was a guest artist in the studio. The owner told him there was no way in hell that he would let him tattoo that under his studio's name. The artist went on a rant about how Stalin and Mussolini were worse and we'd probably let him tattoo that. I told him the Tate Modern would likely love the piece if it was on canvas or something, but as a tattoo he was asking for his client to get beaten up. The owner stood his ground, and last I heard, the tattoo was done off the premises. Hope it was worth it, edgelord. The weirdest was the guy who wanted a brown star outline tattooed on his elbow, because, my ma says I can't tell my ass from my elbow. Once it was healed, apparently people didn't get the joke, so he came back with printed photos from a disposable camera of his own butthole and he wanted that tattooed in the middle of the brown star. His girlfriend also got a tattoo of Trisha Takanawa humping David Bowie's leg, Family Guy, so it was a really weird studio in general. And no, I don't tattoo anymore. I developed a physical disability and can't do tattooing.
The brown star is effing hilarious as an inside joke. And it's not immediately offensive to outsiders. That's pretty legit. The actual asshole pick though. No, dude.
Not a tattoo artist myself but trained a bit. Asked a master what the weirdest thing he tattooed was and he said, without hesitation, a pair of eyes on me mate's balls.
Hope they were googly eyes.
Not an artist myself, but the one I use has told me several stories. The lady that wanted cherries tattooed above her vag. He said no, he doesn't do indelicate areas. The guy that wanted a chain, which would have been around his chest and collarbone. The artist kept trying to convince him this was a bad idea, that it was going to hurt like hell when he go to the collarbone. Guy was real muscular, and swore he wouldn't feel it. Okay, artist draws up two different pieces. One that looks like what guy wants. Second is a piece that has the chains look like they come out of the skin, somewhere where the pain is going to start. Artist starts on the chest, then works his way up to the collarbone. When he gets there, of course guy is crying like a baby. Artist says, I have an idea, why don't I do this instead? Guy has to go through a little more pain, but gets the second tattoo idea, not knowing it was the plan all along. The guy that would come in every so often, wanting the Playboy bunnies tattooed on his cheeks. Artist won't do face tattoos, so kept telling him no. One day, guy comes in, wanting something else, so artist goes in the back to get some artwork. When he comes back, guy is walking around, eating KFC, getting it all over the carpet, walking on it. Artist says, you know what? I'll do the bunnies after all. That guy now has those bunnies on his cheeks, and artist now calls him Chicken Boy. Last was the guy that wanted his girlfriend's name tattooed on him. Artist doesn't like doing names, but is convinced to do it. While he's working, guy is on the phone with the girlfriend, crying. Artist doesn't understand why he's crying so much, it can't hurt that much. Then he starts paying attention to the conversation. The girlfriend has already dumped him, and guy thought the tattoo would convince her to take him back.
Haha, that was a fun ride. I'm not surprised about the last one though. A guy in my high school once cut a huge K on his arm with a blade to convince his ex to take him back. She declined, started crying, and told him to stop. He proceeded to cut out her entire name. Luckily someone called the teachers and they made him stop. Guy was seriously effed up.
When I was getting tattooed I asked my artist what his most effed up tat was, and he told me a guy wanted Pinocchio on his crotch, with the penis as his nose. But he did it and said the customer seemed happy with it.
Now he just has to tell a lot of lies.
This is possibly the worst one. Link.
A guy the first knew growing up and his girlfriend got each other's names on their wrist, 18/19. They broke up. He decided to get it covered up. With a bullet. Of course the thick black outline of her name is clearly visible. So now he has a bullet with her name on it.
A bullet for his old Valentine.
I'm not an artist, but several years ago I was waiting in a shop in my hometown to do a consultation for a tribute to my late stepdad, and there was a woman doing a consultation with my artist right before me. This lady wanted to have Jeff Slut tattooed on her lower back. Apparently she'd been dating Jeff for like 3 months. The artist declined to create her masterpiece. She was visibly upset about it, which let me know that I was in good hands.
I had to have a polyp removed from my colon a few years back. When they removed it, they actually tattooed a marker inside my colon, so that spot would be easier to find and check in a colonoscopy. So while not a tattoo artist, I do have a tattoo up my ass. That qualifies as F'd up.
What's the nature of this tattoo? Is it a cross, a dot, a ring, or are there words in it?
I was getting tattoo removal a few years back and I asked the owner what the worst tattoo he removed was. It was an old bloke that wanted to go on a cruise ship with his missus, but she wouldn't let him until he removed the tattoos on both his feet. He had F written dozens of times on each foot. In his younger years he got drunk and thought it was a good idea to let his mate practice with his new tattoo gun.
Had an older lady come in wanting a butterfly tattoo on her labia. Actually turned out really pretty, she loved it and was a pleasure to work with. Every time I do a butterfly tat now I think of her flaps.
How old was she? That sounds incredibly painful, or mildly pleasurable.
Definitely over 80.
I was at a concert years ago in Philly when this guy showed up with a tattoo of a woman that had some very poorly executed features, e.g. oddly crooked nose, teeth out of alignment, etc. My buddy says to me, if some tattoo guy screwed up a picture of my girlfriend that badly I'd kick his ass. Well, about 10 minutes later this young lady shows up and damn if she didn't look just like the tattoo. Edit, thank you to all the kind Redditors showing me the love for this posting. I'm glad I was able to bring a bit of humor to people's day.
Reminds me of this true crime video on YouTube where the police sketch was real weird looking. I said to myself, nobody looks like that. When they got the person, it looked exactly like the sketch.
Preface, not tattoo artist, sorry. A friend I rented with for a while was really big into tattoos, got a couple of sleeves over the years, and due to this he always had tattoo magazines on the coffee table. These mags almost always had a couple of back pages of crap tattoos, and one became infamous in that house. The guy in the photo was given the nickname of friend's name, S cousin, and the picture was cut out and up on the fridge for ages. The pic was a full frontal nude of an older dude with a full-size dwarven warrior tattoo that was done from this guy's knees to I guess the middle of his chest. The piece de resistance of this giant tattoo was the guy's junk was lined up correctly with the tattoo. Battle axe, big beard and everything, really detailed too. It was epic.
My tattoo artist told me he tattooed a pair of wings on some dude's dink.
Now he can finally give a flying F. Edit. Thanks for rewarding my flippant nonsense, kind stranger.
Not an artist myself, but my boyfriend is. He got his start tattooing his dad, who was a literal Nazi. My boyfriend did his back piece, which was an eagle with a swastika behind it. The eagle had a DK bulge. BCBF's dad wanted to be able to tell it was a man-eagle.
Homophobia is so gay in practice.
When I was about 20 I made a bet with the singer in my metal band that he couldn't shave his beard for a year, and if he made it the year I would get property of name redacted tattooed on my ass cheek. He made it about 3 months and then had to shave because he was basically a young Gandalf. So he has property of XIFDP tattooed on his left ass cheek. Asterisk edited some grammar.
This is random, but I know a guy who owns a tattoo removal business and he once removed 3 separate, property of Steve tattoos from different parts of the same woman's body.
I saw a guy with a tat of Lisa effing Bart with a strap on while Lenny watched on his shoulder when I was at the beach the other day, and I just thought, rad.
A caramba.
On those asterisk 31 outrageous people with tattoos to they regret lol asterisk clickbait pages that were big online about 10 years ago, there was a photo of a chap who got a pair of glasses tattooed onto their face. I know facial tattoos are now a lot more popular than they were back then, but I'd be really interested in knowing what that chap is up to now, and whether the attention from the glasses tattoo has helped or held him back in his life in any way.
I bet it included the girl that fell asleep and the guy tattooed like 50 stars on her face. IIRC, that was the excuse she used to sue him anyway.
Link.
There's a lot to take in here.
It's just your regular cross-dressing crackhead Jesus effing a donkey.
Obligatory, not me, but I asked my artist during a sitting the other week what his weirdest request was. He gave me 2. He's known for his traditional Japanese style, and one guy wanted a hebi snake done on his snake. Beyond the logistical difficulties of tattooing a penis, needs to be erect, but having a needle continuously inserted into the skin doesn't exactly lend itself to helping that. For the large majority of people, my artist wasn't too keen on handling another man's genitals. No judgment, just not how he swings. But the stranger story is this one. Before he got into his niche of traditional Japanese, he did walk-ins. One day he had a very butch woman come into the shop and requested a big, realistic black penis on her inner thigh. Curious as to why she wanted that, the woman replied, "Because my girlfriend loves black DK." He actually did that one, said it turned out well and she loved it.
Not a tattoo artist, but an ex got a tattoo of an anime character wearing a Nazi uniform with the swastika armband. I realized at that moment I needed to get the F out.
Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.